Jorge.
Hello, good evening. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I
How
was
are you,
a
Jorge?
little late. I'm doing very well. How are you doing?
It is just
We're fine,
few
thank you.
There is no problem at all.
Thank you.
How are you, Jorge?
Thank God, doing okay.
I will make a two-line introduction of you
Okay?
for our guests to get to know whom we are meeting today.
Okay.
And I leave it for Qasim. He will probably get some of who is Jorge in your own word. And then I have a small introduction I would like to, that's a ritual in Los Osos. I'm going to welcome you with few lines.
Okay.
We begin the questions.
Okay.
But first, what you are smoking now, Jorge?
Well, I'm a big fan of Padron.
Okay.
And I got a
Definitely.
1964 Exclusivo Maduro.
I see.
Yeah, yeah. It's a good one, by the way.
Oh, it's an excellent cigar. I mean, I
Yeah.
have smoked tons of brands and different cigars. And Oliva Series B is a fantastic cigar. But, you know, I'm hooked with the Padron. I'm hooked with the Padron.
Yeah.
You
Tonight
can't go
I'm
wrong.
going with the flow, and I'm smoking the Vegafina, the 1998 edition.
Good cigar, too.
Yeah. It's a
Mine
good
is
cigar.
the Oliva, and there is a good reason for it, because the wrapper of this Oliva Milanio
Uh-huh.
is an Ecuadorian Sumatra seeds. So this has been cultivated, the wrapper has been cultivated in Ecuador.
Well, you know, Ecuador has one of the best wrappers in the world. It's one of the top wrapper producers and exporters in the world. Many of the very, very good cigars from Nicaragua and Dominican Republic are using Ecuadorian wrapper.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yes.
Exactly.
Excellent. I'm gonna just introduce the headlines.
Go ahead.
Jorge Saade, or I don't know if I'm pronouncing well with the Spanish accent, so I'm is a Lebanese descendant who is living in the Ecuador. His father emigrated to Ecuador, and he was born there, I believe, in 1964, if I'm not mistaken, Jorge.
Yes.
And in this part of the world has nourished the seeds of musical DNA in our guest today, Jorge, and he became an international violinist. I've heard since we came to an agreement that he's going to be our host. I've heard most of your concerts on YouTube, unfortunately, not in person. And all I can say, I'm not an expert, I'm not a musician, I'm not a critique, but I can tell you I enjoyed it like I'm listening to music in heaven. So I leave it for you and Qasim, in your own words, tell us who is Jorge Saade, please.
Yeah, Jorge, a success story written by a Lebanese Ecuadorian musician, violinist, Jorge Saade. Tell us in your own word a brief of your early life. We know your father left Lebanon and you were born in Ecuador. Please take us from there and walk us through your life.
Well, thank you very much first for the invitation. I'm really very, very happy to be with you guys tonight.
Thank you.
Actually, here is today, over there is tonight.
Yeah.
Yes, my father came to Ecuador in 1953. He was 23 years old, and he came looking for his father, who came before. My
Okay.
grandfather came first to Brazil, then went back to Lebanon, and then for a mistake, he ended up in Ecuador trying to go to Brazil. So my father, who was very little when my grandfather came to Ecuador, decided to come and look for him in 1923. Actually came to meet him because my father was around 3 or 4 years old when my grandfather came to Ecuador. So my father came to look for him and bring him back to Lebanon. Well, he accomplished getting my grandfather back to Lebanon, but he stayed in Ecuador. My dad is going to be 92 years old in November, next November. He
Oh,
met my mom. My father is from Shaftin, from Batroun, and
yeah.
my mom was born in Ecuador, also from
In
Lebanese parents. My mom is family is from Zahle. Her last name
Okay.
is Kef,
Ah,
and
that's why you put on your name Jorge Saade Scaf.
yes. Well, in Latin
Ah,
America, we use our mother's last name, as always the second last
okay.
name because then this is not my case, but there are many Juan Rodriguez, so you need to know which Juan Rodriguez is Rodriguez
Yeah.
Sanchez or Rodriguez, so the family.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
that's why I always use my mother's last name. So my mom was born in Ecuador from Lebanese parents. They also, my grandfather also came looking for his father, my great grandfather, who
Wow.
came first to Ecuador.
Okay.
He did not
Wow.
accomplish getting him back to Lebanon. He died in Ecuador, my great grandfather. And my
Okay.
grandfather and my grandmother came on their honeymoon to Ecuador.
Okay.
And then they decided to stay for a few years, work, make some money, and go back. And they never went back. They both died in Ecuador. They are both buried in Ecuador.
Okay.
So, my mom died 4 years ago. She was
Yeah.
83. But we still are lucky to have my dad. My dad, he's a success story. He came to Ecuador with no money, nothing. One hand in front and one hand behind him. He came looking for his father. My grandfather was in a very little town working at a little shop. He was selling fabrics, textiles.
Okay.
And my father came and worked with him at the beginning. Then he decided to open himself, and he worked very hard. He was a travel salesman. He worked. He was going from town to town. Sometimes by mule, walking.
Oh,
Selling
door to
fabrics.
door, you mean?
Door
Yeah.
to door. Exactly. That's how
Wow.
he started. And but
Wow.
he's a very very smart man. Very smart man. And he started making money. He started working, saving. And, to make a long story short, when I
Yeah.
was already a teenager, he decided to go back to high school and finish high school. Then he went to the university, and he got a degree in law. He's a lawyer. Then
Uh-huh.
he decided that was not enough, and then he got a doctorate degree in law. Then he became the honorary consul of Lebanon in the late 80s.
Okay.
So he decided to study a master's degree in diplomacy.
Okay.
So yeah,
Well,
so
very
so my yes, so my dad is a very 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 rare case because usually the immigrants, they don't go back to school. They usually get their kids to go to school and become
Yeah.
professionals.
Yeah.
Usually an
Yeah.
immigrant goes and works, but he decided, he says, I remember when he was studying law, and I said, but Dad, but why do you want to be a lawyer? I mean, why do you need it? You don't need that. He said, no, but I want at least the day I die, they say the doctor died, yeah,
Uh,
to use the, so, but
to use the name. Okay.
yes. So of course, everybody call him Dr. Saade. But he's a rare case of an immigrant who came to Ecuador or anywhere in the world and study and got a degree. He retired as the honorary consul of Lebanon after 30 years. Now my younger brother is the honorary consul of Lebanon. And he was a
Okay.
president of the bank for many years. He had his own company. Um, you know, very, very smart guy. Made, you know, everybody loved him. Everybody called him Tio Juan, Uncle Juan. Everybody.
Uncle Juan.
Uncle Juan. Tio Juan. You know?
Tio Juan. Yeah,
Exactly.
Uncle Tio.
Exactly. Uncle is Tio. You know, everybody calls him El Tio Juan. You know, it's a very, very, it's very well known, you know. Now he misses that because, you know, he's 92. Now he's 92, he's retired. Still, he goes to the office every day. He goes to the office every morning, he's there, you know. But he misses, you know, people going and talking to him and asking him for favors. He was doing favors to everybody. He spent half of the day doing a favor for somebody. You know, now he misses that, you know. Yeah. Last week, 10 days ago, he got COVID. He got COVID, Omicron.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So he had to stay at home.
Is he okay now?
He's perfect. You know, he's made of Lebanese cedar, man. It's
The
Lebanese gene is still working for him.
Man, he's tough. He's very strong. So he had to stay at home. He was complaining every day, you know. Sundays he wakes up and say, "Let's go to the office." I say, "Dad, it's Sunday." And he say, "Oh, we have to go to the office." Say, "But you don't do nothing at the office." But he goes every day to the office. Yeah, nice.
Just to go out from house. That's it.
You know, he came.
This is enough for him.
You know, yes. You know, his life was work. You know, family first. My mom and work. My mom is gone. He has no work. The only thing is he has a family, but he still wants to grab, you know, work and the office.
Yeah.
Well, I'm the oldest one. I'm the firstborn.
Yeah.
And then I'm the black sheep of the family because, you know, my dad had other plans for me, you know.
You didn't. You didn't play your father's plan.
Jorge, and I will pass it for a question to Qasim. We will start the question session. But before we start the question sessions, I would like to make a small introduction or a few lines to welcome you.
Okay.
And it's a written one. I'm going to read it. It says, a person who knows where they are from, what their roots are, will always grow bigger and go higher in their life. The quote, it is the roots, not the branches, that a tree's greatest strength lies. Rose Namajunas, born in 1992, is an American mixed martial artist, once said, and I loved it because I loved her quote. It says, "I'm like a tree. My leaves might change color, but my roots are the same." And that goes very well to you. After talking to you from few times, Jorge, you sound Lebanese, Ecuadorian, international musician, violinist, you name it. But when it comes to the depths, you're still a Lebanese. You're like a couple of times in Lebanon, I don't know. You were born and go ahead. You were saying.
I've been in Lebanon several times, you know, and it's funny, you know. It's a duality. It's a very difficult to express, you know. I was born in Ecuador. I was born in Guayaquil, which is the main port, and I feel Guayaquileño. You know, I feel the land calls you, but I also feel Lebanese. I also feel Lebanese, and I remember the first time I went to Lebanon. I was in the plane, and it was early in the morning. The sun was just coming out, and I saw the coastline of Lebanon from the plane. I couldn't help myself. I cried.
Wow.
Because I only heard about Lebanon from my father. I heard about Lebanon from my grandparents. And when I landed in Lebanon, and the first thing that my family asked me, said, "What do you want to do?" I said, "Let's go to Sheptin." So I went straight from the airport to Sheptin, and it felt like home, you know. I feel at home in Lebanon. I feel at home in my hometown.
Yeah.
I feel that I belong, that I'm part of that. Even though I was born in Ecuador, I don't remember who said that, but they say that we are all like a cedar that spread his seed all over the world. So we are cedars that were born, were raised in a different land, but we're still cedars from Lebanon.
Wow.
Your DNA is cedar.
You know, I got my daughter got me a DNA test, as a present last like 2 years ago,
And
because my mother's family is from Zahle, and my mom
Yeah.
was, I mean, she did not look like the typical Lebanese. She was white, really white, a green eyes, blonde. My grandfather was baby blue eyes, blonde. So I thought that, being from Zahle and being from Lebanon, there may be some, European, probably, at the time of the Crusaders, they were there, the
Yeah.
Templars. See, maybe there was some, mixed. And the last name is Scaff, Scaff. You can find it in Germany as a German last name.
Uh-huh.
And I thought there may be something. Well, surprisingly enough, my DNA is 100% from northern Lebanon, Mount Lebanon.
From Shibtin.
100%. 100. And it's not 99, but it's 100%.
Wow.
And it says 100% from Levante area, which, it's Lebanon, Palestine, Israel, Syria, a little part of Jordan. But it says North Lebanon, Mount Lebanon.
my God.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't believe
This
it.
is nice.
I couldn't believe it. 100%.
But, impressive, really. That's like, wow.
Yeah.
So, that's why, the land calls you.
Yeah.
Continue my introduction if you allow me, Jorge.
Yes, please,
And
go
then
ahead.
questions. We have a long list of questions. I hope we can find time to answer them. While there were no professional musicians in Saade family, and I'm quoting from one of the magazines, your mother Suad used to play classical music on the piano and realized that when you were very young, you would sit down and listen intently when she played. You started to love the sound of the violin, and one day your mother found you with a little toy guitar on your left shoulder and the wood stick in your right hand trying to play the violin. The incident led your parents to find a teacher for you when you were 6, starting you on the path that would ultimately take you to concert halls all around the world. This boy grew to be a world-class Ecuadorian Lebanese violinist, my words, who played in concerts and halls that I, Eli, can barely pronounce their names. Sorry, I've seen your CV, but I cannot say the names properly. And in places and countries so far away. And today, you are a pioneer in your field of music, a violin wizard, as I read once, and an icon in the Americas. You are in Ecuador a publicly known musician, and in South America, and in North America, and in Europe, and in China, and in Russia. While in Lebanon, you are just Jorge the kiddo from Shibtin, known only to your family, Saade, and a small circle of musicians in Lebanon, and the couple who came to watch you when you played in Lebanon. We are here today, Jorge, to unveil the curtains and uncover a few sides of your life. I leave it to Qasim. Please go ahead, Qasim.
Yeah. Jorge, when you just now tell us your story, it came to my mind. Do you speak Arabic, or do you know some word in Arabic? And if you would, and if you do, would you say a little word for us, please?
Well,
Related to cigar, to music, to life, whatever, in your own Arabic.
well, My parents made a huge mistake. Because I live with my grandparents, my mother's parents, George and Juana, and they all spoke Arabic among each other, but they never spoke Arabic to us.
Oh.
So I grew up listening to Arabic. I can understand what they're talking about. I cannot speak Arabic. You know, my mom said he learned Arabic by herself. But she had an accent. She spoke with an accent, and my mom was a perfectionist. So she said, I didn't want you to learn Arabic with my accent.
Wow.
So we never learned how to speak Arabic. Of course, I know the words. I know the bad words, of course. I know how to curse in Arabic.
You know, definitely you should know that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
and of course,
It's a
and of
must.
course the food. And of course the food,
Tabbouleh.
Oh, tabbouleh, knefi, kafta, baba
Fool.
ghanoush, full mdammas. Yes, of course. Benaye, my favorite.
Yeah. It's
You know,
enough.
it's
You don't need
well,
you don't need much.
one of my favorite the desserts is knefi. So
Yeah.
my wife knows that when she wants to please me in the morning, I'll have knefi for breakfast.
Wow, okay.
And my other favorite is gamme.
Ghammi?
Wow.
Gamme,
Gamme.
love gamme, love gamme, love gamme.
Make it for you
Wow.
there. Who will cook
So,
it?
Yeah.
well, my grandmother used to make it at home. My wife doesn't do it at home, but we have there is some Lebanese places that make it, and we order it. We order it from the Lebanese club, and we order it at home. So once whenever I can, I have gamme.
So
Shish barak, of course.
I'm coming to Ecuador.
صحتين. صحتين.
Ahla wa sahla. Anytime.
أهلا وسهلا.
Welcome. You have a home there.
Because
Thank
Qasim
you.
is vegetarian, he will not enjoy ghammi.
You're
I'm
vegetarian.
anything but vegetarian. I'm anything but
Oh
vegetarian.
my God.
Trust
Yes.
me.
No. I'm a meat lover. I love meat. I just,
I
and
cannot live without meat.
me neither. Me neither. And if you ask my father after today, what do you want to eat for lunch? He will say, kibbenaye.
Wow.
Yeah.
He will finish a whole tray by himself. He loves kibbenaye.
صحتين.
So I grew up in a Lebanese home. I grew up in a Lebanese family. We have every morning we have a Lebanese coffee.
Every
Eh,
month.
Okay.
Every morning, even my secretary, she's been with us for over 30 years. She prepares Lebanese coffee. We have the rauke
Okay.
and everything, and we put the cardamom, everything. Every morning we have Lebanese coffee at the office, and we
Wow.
have many friends that come to visit us in the morning just to have coffee, just to have Lebanese coffee with us.
Great. طب,
And
Jorge, let me now ask you, how do you become?
Question.
Okay. Jorge, how did you become a cigar smoker?
well, when I was around 17 years old, a very good friend of my dad, Pancho Adum, Francisco Adum, he used to come to visit my dad, and he used to smoke a pipe. I was 17. I loved the pipe, the smell of the pipe. And at that time I had just met my wife. She was my high school sweetheart. We were just dating, and she decided to give me a pipe for my birthday, for my 18th birthday. So I started smoking a pipe. I remember my dad coming into my bedroom. I will be, listening to violin music and smoking a pipe. I was 18 years old. He opened the door, he looked at me, and he said, "My God, you are so ridiculous." And he would close the door and leave, So I did smoke a pipe for a while, for many years. But I think it was around 1997. Yes, actually, 1997. I went to Quito to do some things. I had to stay in Quito for a month. And a very good friend of my dad, Ecuadorian, he's like a brother to my father. I call him uncle. You know, he had a very nice apartment and in a hotel, and he told me, you know, nephew, just take the apartment. You know, I was staying there, and I will go to visit him to his office every day. It was next door, and one day I walk into his office, and he had a box of Partagas torpedoes. That he is the honorary consul of Chile in Quito. So I saw the box of cigars, and I say, Uncle Pepe, do you smoke cigars? I say, no, I don't smoke cigars. I say, the Cuban embassy sends me a box of Cuban cigars every month, but I don't smoke it. I usually give it away. Do you want them? And I say, yes, give it to me. So I got the box of cigars. That evening, I have another good friend who is, he has a radio station there, and he had a classical music program. And we decided to go out that night, and I took the cigar with me. So we
And
we
then
had dinner.
how you become? Yeah.
We had dinner. We go to a bar, and I get the cigar out. You know, I ask for a cup of cognac, and I started smoking a cigar. You know, Quito, it's 2,800 meters high.
Yeah.
Yeah. So breathing is not that easy for somebody from the coast like me, because I live at sea level. You know, so I started smoking the cigar, and I started to feel sick. You know, my heart started, palpitations. I started to sweat. I was dizzy. I was nauseous, and I thought I was having a heart attack. Yeah? So I tell my friend, I say, Diego, I say, I'm feeling really bad. Let's go to the hospital. So, he rushed me to the hospital. We go into emergency room, and they said, what's going on? I said, I think I'm having a heart attack. So immediately they put a nicotine patch, a nitroglycerin patch, and they put an electrocardiogram, and the doctor started talking to me and say, what were you doing? I said, well, I was smoking a cigar. And the guy looked at me, are you a cigar smoker? I say, no, it's my first cigar. The guy unhooked me, and he say, you just have to drink a Coke and go home.
You got the nicotine rush.
Exactly. So it was an awful experience, actually. It was an awful experience. But then, the next day I decided to smoke another cigar. And I started smoking cigars that day. And by the time I finished my time in Quito, who was there for a month, I bought 10 boxes of Cuban cigars, and I had to come to the United States. And I didn't know that Cuban cigars were forbidden in the United States. So I put, five boxes in one suitcase, 5 boxes in the other suitcase, closed the suitcase and came. And I ended up in Washington. And when, I take all this, they ask me in customs, do you have anything to declare? I say, no, I didn't know that I had to declare them. I was being honest. I ended up, with 250 Cuban cigars in Washington, D.C., and everybody looks at, how did you bring them? And I say, in my suitcase. I say, you're nuts. And then, that day on, from 1997, I started smoking. I've been smoking cigar nonstop. I smoke usually every day, not less, than one cigar. At least one cigar a day.
At least one cigar a day.
There have been times that I've been smoking 5 cigars a day, 6 cigars a day.
The weekend?
During the week, every day. I mean, it doesn't matter if I am sick, if I have a cold, if I have the flu. I even got COVID in 2020. I was sick for 4 days. The 5th day, I smoked 3 cigars.
To compensate what you missed.
Exactly. I got sick on Friday. So it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Tuesday I felt okay. I light the cigars, and I 3 cigars. During the pandemic,
every one of us. This is the story of every aficionado.
During the pandemic, I thank God I had a very good supply of cigars before the pandemic, because we were at home for 3 months. I mean, nobody left. Everybody was staying at home and being careful. I smoked 350 cigars on those 3 months.
Wow, not bad.
Because
Jorge, what vitola or cigar sizes are preferable to you?
I don't like small cigars. I mean, I'm smoking this Padron, which is exclusivo, which is not a big cigar, but I usually like the Churchill size, the big one, so the double
When you,
Corona.
Jorge, when you say,
Yes.
Go ahead.
Hello.
He can hear
yeah,
you.
yeah, we can, now we can hear you.
No, Qasim,
Yeah.
go ahead. Qasim.
Yalla. Okay. You said you don't like the small cigar. You mean the small engages, right?
Exactly. I
You
like
hear
a
me,
long cigar.
Jorge?
Yes, I can hear you very well, and I usually
Hello.
prefer
Okay.
the larger
What
size.
cigar
Like
brand? Oh, okay. Yeah,
cigar
okay.
brands. Cigar brands. I have smoked. I mean, in my life, everything that you can imagine.
The Robusto and
From
yeah. What cigar
really.
brand do you love most?
But
Padron.
when I met, when I try my first Padron, I thought the Padron is probably, in my case, the best cigar I have ever tried. It's
Yeah.
Padron has a unique quality that it's the same taste from the time you light it until the time you burn your fingers. It doesn't, most cigars, they are milder when you
Yeah.
start, and as they get, you get to smoke them, they get a stronger, or, Padron doesn't have that. It's the way they do it. It has the same taste, top to bottom.
Yeah.
And I like the 1964. You have the 1926 too, which is a great cigar, but I like the 64. And I also like the 3000. I don't you know the Padron 3000.
Yeah. Yeah. 3000.
Family of
It, it,
thousand.
it's a very good cigar. For the price, you can't beat it. Price quality. It's a fantastic cigar. The 3000.
Yeah.
And of course, I smoke. I've been in Cuba many times as a musician, and I have smoked a lot of Cuban cigars. Pedro Ayones, Robaina, you name it. Of course, Cohiba and Simon Bolivar and Romeo and Juliet and Partagas. And I have tried the Vejique, and I've tried them all. But again, I think that Nicaragua has developed the cigar industry such in a way that they have nothing to envy to the Cubans.
Okay.
Um,
Especially
and
recently. Yeah.
yes, yes, yes. Recently, I mean, and the different brands, the different Nicaraguan brands, I mean, they're very, very good. Not only
Yeah.
Oliva and Padron, but you have AJ Fernandez, Carrillo, Camacho. I mean,
Vega Fino,
there's
the
so
one
many.
I'm smoking now.
Yeah.
The Vega Fino, the one I'm smoking now. Jorge, let me get let us go back to Lebanon. When was
Okay.
your last visit to Lebanon? And how frequent do you visit Lebanon, your hometown?
Um, Last time I went to Lebanon, I'm not sure, but I think it was around 2018. I
18?
had to
Okay.
18 or 17, 17 or 18. It's not more than that. I had to go and I played for the first time with the Lebanese National Orchestra.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, and it was such a great experience for me because it was not easy, to play with the Lebanese National Symphony Orchestra, Lebanese National Philharmonic. Um, I went there, the first time in 2006, and I tried
Okay.
so hard, to make contacts with the orchestra and get invited. But it was like, okay, yeah, you are a Lebanese descendant, but that doesn't give you a right to play with the orchestra. So it took me more than 10 years until I was able to play with the orchestra. But it was a great experience. I played at the It was the cathedral in Juni. What's the name of the cathedral?
Harissa?
No. No, I'm sorry, not in Juni. I'm sorry, not in Juni. It was in Beirut, in Ashrafiyeh. I remember I don't remember the name of the cathedral. It's a beautiful church. Beautiful church. We did a concert there with the orchestra. Yeah.
So, needless to mention now, when when you visit Lebanon on the next trip, inshallah, we will smoke together and
Oh,
listen
definitely.
to your music.
Definitely.
Definitely. Now
Definitely.
I'm gonna leave you to Eli to hammer you with the rest of the question.
Okay, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, you know, we may have a lot of opportunity to smoke together because one of my plans is to build a house in the land we have in Sheptin.
Inshallah. That's nice.
Near to Wissam's house?
Next to Wissam's house. Yeah,
I don't recommend you to do that. He will be a bad neighbor. Now he's listening to us
I don't
anyway.
think so. I know that. I know he's listening to us.
Just kidding. Yeah. Eli,
I'll ask to my questions. Jorge, I am so intrigued with your music mixture. You are a Lebanese descendant, born and living in Ecuador. Are you following me?
Yes.
A sensual musician and an aficionado, a smoker, a cigar smoker. Not to mention that you are cousin to the Saades, which are our very good friends, Wissam and Sharbil. What all that makes you? I do not want, if you allow me, a cliche answer nor a diplomatic musician answer. I just want to know how it feels, because for me it is so mystic, how it feels to be all that.
Jesus. I mean, I've never, I've never thought about that. I'm just a guy. I'm just a Lebanese descendant, born in Ecuador who plays the violin. That's it. I cannot define me in a different way. I love Lebanon. I love my family in Lebanon. I'm very close to them, thanks to my father, who he kept his connection with Lebanon, and we inherited that. But I just feel like a regular guy, with his mistakes and his qualities, good and bad qualities. That's it. Nothing more than that.
Okay, fair. I have now a question which is a bit difficult, if you allow me. Standing where you are today, looking back to your heritage and legacy, and if you have a magical rewind buzz that you can take you back to homeland Lebanon, but it will give you, of course, the life of serenity you wish to have in the most beautiful village in the world you said once, Sheptin. But the same buzz will take away your musical life, your violin, and in your international fame. Would you press the bus? Would you become this common George or Julius with no legacy, living marginally in a country torn by wars and defeated by its own destiny? Take a moment, please. Please, take a moment and answer me.
Well, that's a very tough question. It's very difficult to answer because the two you give me two alternatives that are very difficult.
No. You cannot take a moment, and I know it's a tough question. We expect your transparent answer.
I cannot see my life without my violin. The violin, it's a part of me. And I would have been a frustrated human being if I would not have been able to play the violin. When I met my wife, my girlfriend, I told her, you're going to have to share me with my mistress. The violin is my mistress. She's going to be there the rest of my life. So you'll never try to compete with the violin. There is no way to compete with it. the violin has a woman shape, you know,
Yeah,
and like
exactly.
and like a woman is very temperamental and very jealous. If you don't touch her every day, violin will leave you like a woman.
Uh-huh.
So
Nice.
so so I cannot see my life without the violin. My life has been always around the instrument, around the violin. I not only love to play the violin, I love the instrument as a work of art. Um, you probably, well, one day if you come to Ecuador, you visit my office, my studio at home. I mean, it's full of pictures of violins. It's full of books about violins, dictionaries about violins, bottles of wine and liquor of the shape of a violin, statues of violins. I'm fascinated by the instrument. Yeah, not only for the music that the instrument makes, so for its history, legacy, construction, everything, you know. So that's a very tough question because I also love Sheptin. I love my hometown. I love the tranquility and the peace that I breathe when I'm there. I know that Lebanon has suffered so much, and it's just not fair what Lebanon has had to go through history because this is not new. You know, Lebanon it's a country that has, you know, all the armies, all the powerful armies in the world has gone through Lebanon for the past 3,000 years. You know, but that only proves us that adversity makes us stronger, and Lebanese people are strong. I mean, you put a Lebanese anywhere in the world, and he will come out, you know, and he will succeed, and he will be, you know, in a few years he will be in the top of whatever he's doing, and his family in the many years will be running, you know, whatever he started to do, whatever business or whatever field he wanted to do. You know, adversity has made us strong. You know, we have it in our DNA. And I have no doubt that Lebanon is going to get out of what's going on right now because of the capacity, the will, the spirit of the Lebanese people. I mean, we have done it, man, since the Roman time.
Yes.
We will do it
Yeah,
again. We will do it again. You know,
yeah,
there's no
for sure.
doubt. There's no doubt of it. You know, when you meet Lebanese people, you know, they are so friendly. They are so open. They are so, warm heart. Did you see people like that cannot fail? A country that has that kind of people cannot fail.
We
You
cannot
know?
fail. You are right. I have two technical questions for you. I don't know if they mean anything, but you know, Ecuadorian rapper. Rapper is the outer leaf of
Yes,
a
of
cigar.
course.
Is gaining stature and excellent reputation in the world of cigars today. Do you have any insight from your side on the Ecuadorian? Can you tell us more about this rising star, or you're not involved?
Well, you know, for what I have friends that are rapper producers in Ecuador, and
Mhm.
some of them, you know, were producing cigars many years ago, but they ended up or either selling the land, the plantations, or renting the plantations to the bigger companies, because they say that it's because of our location, precisely in the middle, you know, in the equatorial line, and the way that the plants receive the sunlight. You know,
Okay.
not only, of course, the quality of the soil and the humidity levels that we have, but it's the way that the plants receive the sunlight. It's that gives that quality to the leaves. And that's why, you know, the Ecuadorian wrapper, it's one of, you know, probably the best, one of the best wrappers in the world. And many of the really, really good cigars are using Ecuadorian wrapper. They even say, I don't have proof of this, but they say that even they're taking it to Cuba, even though the Cubans don't say that they are using Ecuadorian wrapper. You know, I have heard that from many people that are in the business.
Either way, they wouldn't admit it, but
No, never,
without
of course.
myself doubt because these people can't pay dollar anyway. My second question, why, in your opinion, there is no Ecuadorian cigar we haven't
Well,
heard of it? Let's say international. I know there are a couple, but they are not.
well, I smoke Ecuadorian cigars. I do smoke Ecuadorian cigars. I have a guy who makes cigars for me. They are okay. They are not bad. Sometimes, he makes a really good one, but sometimes he cannot repeat it because he cannot find
The exact
the
blend.
quality of tobacco exactly that he wants to. I think it's because probably they are concentrated themselves in producing wrapper, and they have not, looked for the cigar producing business. There are some people who tried to do it. They did some very good cigars, but I don't know why. I don't know the technical reason why they have not been able to produce a cigar that can compete with a Nicaraguan or a Dominican or Cuban cigar. I smoke Ecuadorian cigars every day. Every day. Between if I smoke 2 or 3, 2 of those are going to be Ecuadorians, probably. So, but it's not a fantastic cigar. It's an okay cigar. For an everyday smoke, they are not bad. And now, when I want to really enjoy a cigar, then I go, for Padrons, which are my favorite, no?
Qasim,
Jorge, you traveled the globe. You studied in different cities. What type of music do you love to listen to most?
Violin music.
I know, but what type of violin music? The
Well,
Western, what type of music of violin do you like to do you love to listen to?
of course, I mean, I love music, and I have listened to all types of music. I like Lebanese music. I like Fairuz. I learned it from my mother. I also listened to Abdel Wahab. My grandfather loved Abdel Wahab. But my passion it's classical violin. I will concentrate a little more on the romantic period. Romantic composers. End of the 18th century, 18th century to the 19th century. But I enjoy contemporary music too. I enjoy Baroque. But one of the countries that has fascinated me for the violin music is Hungary. The Hungarians have a very strong gypsy influence.
Yeah.
And
They are
gypsy
gypsies.
music. Yeah, and the gypsy music has a lot of, the violin, it takes a very important role in gypsy music. So I have visited Hungary many times, and I love to go and listen to the gypsies play. Go to restaurants. I go to any place where I can find them to listen to the gypsy violins play. Because when I started playing the violin, my mom had a recording of gypsy music, and when I listened to that LP that I have now. I just was fascinated with the sound of the violin, how they make the violin even, it's like the violin can cry, can laugh, can cry. You can hear the spirit of the person playing in the instrument. And I love the sound of the gypsy music. So gypsy music was the one who drew me into playing the violin. So I have a very, very special taste for gypsy music and the gypsy violin playing. Sometimes, when I play, music, for Ecuadorian composers, they say, "But you play like a gypsy." I say, "Well, that's my style of playing. I like that style of playing the violin." But of course, I love Latin music too. I love, some Latin singers. I love boleros, which are, it's a form of Latin music. I like that. I enjoy that. But if I have to choose what I like to listen, I will immediately go to violin music.
Okay. Jorge, we just knew now that you play with the Lebanese orchestra. but do you have a plan to play the violin solo one day in Lebanon? If yes, when and where?
Have I have no plans to go to Lebanon right now to play the violin. Can you give me 1 second? Van a ser-
Yeah.
¿A dónde se va? Bueno, me avisas, okay. Okay, I'm sorry. The wife is leaving.
It's okay, no worries.
Yes. We're in Miami right now. My two oldest daughters live here with their husbands, and we came here. I have to do a small procedure tomorrow, so we came here for a few days.
Okay.
So she's going. My daughter came to her husband to have lunch, and now they're going shopping.
Yeah. So you don't have
Well,
any future plan or
no,
near future plan
no.
to play violin?
No, unfortunately, no. I mean, the problem was that the pandemic really slowed down everything, and especially music. I had so many concerts programmed for 2020. I even had a concert planned for Carnegie Hall in October of 2020. Everything had to be canceled, and to retake everything back into normal has been taking a lot of time. So I'm just
Yeah, yeah.
starting to have my agenda running and moving.
It's a
My
slow
first
comeback, yeah.
yeah. My first international concert was last year in September. I came to the United States. I played with an orchestra in Rome, Georgia, and from then on, just a little bit. Now, I'm starting to get to have new engagements. I am playing in Quito with the National Symphony Orchestra in September. In October, I have to go to play in Paraguay with the orchestra. Then I'm coming to Washington. I'm playing a recital with a Peruvian pianist to celebrate the anniversary of the peace treaties between Ecuador and Peru. Then I have to play with the Symphony Orchestra of Northern Virginia. October and November probably, it's not confirmed yet. I may have to play in Genova, in Italy, because this year Paganini celebrates his 240th birthday. And I formed in 2002, which is 20 years this year, a violin guitar duo that is called the Paganini Duo. So we are still waiting for a confirmation to play a recital in Genova for this celebration. So things are starting to move. I just got confirmation I have to play in Cuba next year in August
Nice.
with the National Symphony Orchestra. Yes, that's for August of 2023. So I will definitely find a way to go back to Lebanon and perform. That's always in my plans.
Hopefully.
We're waiting always.
Thank you.
Jorge,
Yes.
let me ask you now, how does Jorge pick or choose his cigars? And how does he choose his cigar boxes?
Well, to be honest, since I started smoking Padron, I don't have to pick and choose anything. I just get a Padron and smoke a
Straight to
Padron.
Padron.
Yes,
Easy.
It's easy. It's very simple for me, and I, once in a while I try something different. I have tried, I don't know if you know Diesel. Have you tried Diesel? Diesel
Yes.
cigars.
Diesel.
Yes, they're very good. I have tried Undercrown, but they're good. It's not that I don't enjoy them. Of course, I smoke Davidoff and all that. They're good cigars, and I try them. I will definitely try a cigar. But if I want to go to what I like, it's just Padron, or either a 1964, a 1926, or a 3000. Whichever I like. I enjoy
You play it safe.
Yes, and I enjoy the morning cigar. I mean, I can. The earliest, the better.
Like me.
I am a big Formula One fan, and
Okay.
most of the races when they are in Europe or Asia, we have to see it like at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning. And I cannot watch a race without smoking a cigar. So I usually
Nice.
I started smoking sometime at 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning, the first cigar. And then, yes, I choose a mild cigar. Very, not too strong. I cannot smoke a Padron, which is, usually a Maduro that I smoke. I cannot smoke a Maduro cigar at 7 o'clock in the morning. So then I usually go for the Ecuadorian cigar, which is really mild, not strong. And then you can smoke it, just with a cup of coffee, with an empty stomach, with no problem.
Yeah, yeah. Like me, I always like to smoke my first cigar at 7:30 in the morning.
Yeah,
It's my
the
best
cigar.
time for cigar.
But you
Yes.
don't play the violin, Qasim.
Yeah.
Make any comparison, please.
I'm just taking the cigar side. I'm not taking the music side.
The music side.
Yes, I'm talking about the cigar only.
I have a question.
I know I know my limits.
Yeah.
I don't go beyond.
Jorge, I have a question, please. You visited Cuba a couple or a multiple of times, according
Yes.
to sources. Couple of times it was during the Habanos Festival.
Yes.
Tell us one story, good story, with your impressions during your visit. One question, one story that you love,
Well,
a memory.
I the first time I went to Cuba was actually the first time I went to Lebanon. I flew from Beirut to Havana.
Oh, I see.
It was I left Beirut early in the morning. The sun was coming out early in the morning. I flew from Beirut to,
Paris?
if I'm not wrong, no. I went to Italy.
Okay.
I don't remember where. I stopped in Italy. Then I switched planes and I went to Madrid. And then I switched planes and I flew from Madrid to Havana. And the sun was starting just to go down in Havana. It was a very long flight. And I did it all during the sunlight. So I went to Cuba in 2006, which was the first time I went to Lebanon. And you get there and you try to buy cigars and and meet people. Most of the cigars that you find outside the official stores are fake cigars, are not original cigars. And if you go to the original stores, are incredibly expensive in Cuba. Cigars are very expensive in the official stores. So I went many times. I was going to Cuba probably once a year to perform and play, and I was meeting people and getting cigars here and there. But finally, one day I was invited by the Ministry of Culture, and they assigned me an attaché, and she was a very nice girl, and she introduced me with her husband, who for the first time I met a real guy who worked really at the cigar factory. He really works there. Now I'm the godfather of their daughter. They were very good friends. Yeah, and he works at the factory. He's a cigar roller.
Okay.
So the next time I went to Cuba for some concerts, I made it coincide with the cigar festival. So he took me in the festival for free instead of you had to pay. I don't remember what was the $500 to get into the festival. I went in for free to the festival. I did everything the whole week. I was smoking 10 or 12 cigars a day. It was just amazing, And he told me, you tell me which cigars you want. So I walked with him, through the festival. I said, I want this. They had a special edition Cohiba Maduros. They came 10 in a box. The wrapper was so strong that it was black. It's a black wrapper.
Yeah.
Really strong. So I got those cigars. I got some Bejiques. I got some. I love Robaina. Robaina is a fantastic cigar. I don't know if you have tried the Robaina. Vegas de Robaina. It's not well known outside Cuba. No, not many people know Robaina, but Robaina is probably one of the oldest cigar brands. that is still run by the Robaina family in Cuba. Yeah,
Don
it's very,
Alejandro.
yes, that's very rare, because you know Cohiba, which is the famous Cuban brand. It's a brand created after the revolution. It didn't exist before Castro. They didn't have Cohibas. Cohiba it's a revolution brand.
Yeah.
So
Some
and
of them. Some of them.
then yes, then I was invited to a special event at the Partagas house, which is behind the Cuban Capitol building, which is a replica of
520. The address is
the Washington.
520.
Yes, you know the Capitol building in Cuba is a replica of the Capitol building in Washington, a small
Yeah.
replica. I don't know.
I know.
Smaller.
So it's right behind it, and we were there, and they had a private section, and when we went in, there was this guy. They called him Mr. Habano. He was I don't remember. I'm bad with names. I don't remember his name right now, but he got in some trouble with the Cuban regime. You know, they throw him in jail. I mean, you got very famous people around the world, Arnold Schwarzenegger. They all, went there and, to support him. So finally, the Cuban regime let him, out of jail, and that was the first event he attended after being, in prison.
Uh-huh.
So he was right. Everybody was making a line, to say hello to him and to have pictures. And he took me there. He introduced me with him. We had a cigar together. We hugged and we had a cigar. It was quite an experience. Cuba is besides it's the political issue and the problems that Cuba has, and the way that most Cubans live, which is really unfair. Cuba is it's a beautiful country, and it has so much potential, much potential. From Miami, we are probably a couple of hours away in a ferry to Havana, and
It's
Havana
a 90-mile trip.
It's 90 miles, and Havana it's such a beautiful. It has such a beautiful architecture. The old Havana, it's like you are in a Spanish town, in an old Spanish town,
Very
with
beautiful.
cobblestone streets. I mean, and even
The
though
old port.
yes, the old port, it's beautiful, and even though people live in a very difficult life and situation, the spirits they're very happy. They are very friendly. They are always singing, and there is music everywhere. You see the spirit of the Cuban
Dancing
people.
in the streets.
Yes.
I have one
Thank
difficult question for you, Jorge, please.
Yes.
You can bear with me. From age 14 till 20s, your 20s, you had, as every young man, discrete passions, but at a certain point, you started smoking cigar. You naturally continued to have passion, vices, and other hungers. I want you to name for me now, if you allow me, if you accept, to name one vice Jorge has. One vice.
One vice. Jesus, you want to get me in trouble, man.
You can pass. You can tell me I pass this question. We move to the other one.
I don't know. When I was a young kid, I was a very good kid. I have to say that. I didn't smoke. I smoke a pipe once in a while. I was not. I never smoked cigarettes. I never drinked. I'm not much of a drinker. I drink very little. I like single malt Scotch, but I cannot drink without having a cigar. So if I drink a single malt, it has to be with a cigar. So I'm not a drinker. I don't go to a party and drink Scotch. Don't do it. I was not. I never tried drugs, so I don't have a vice for drugs. So you can guess what was my only vice.
I guess we all know now.
Yeah. Now what has been my passions? Besides the violin, which still is my passion, I love cars. I'm a car fanatic.
We'll come to that. We'll come to that. Qasim, your question.
Yeah. Please, Jorge, can you describe for us your mixed feeling when you visiting homeland the last time and the feeling of wanting to come back?
Well, as I told my wife, I will love to spend time in Lebanon every year. I would love to live part of my life in Lebanon. We used to have a home. We used to have a house in Sheptin. My father bought it in the 70s. There was a huge house, beautiful house, that it was not finished. You know, old stone, and he had a lot of land around. And he tried to finish the house. You know, he invested some money, finished one of the floors. But a few years ago, somebody wanted to buy it. So, you know, my dad came to my brother and to me and said, what should I do? They say, Dad, look, the house is not finished. We have never been able to live in the house. It's one house. We are three. I'm the oldest. I have a sister, Laila, and my younger brother, Juan. I said, we're three families now. The house is not enough for three families, you know? So why don't you sell it? We keep the land. And whoever wants to build a house will build a house in the land later on. So that's what we did. We sold the house and we kept the land. So my idea was it's to build a small house, you know, in the future, and go there and spend, you know, a few months. Not in the summer; it's too hot. You know, but probably you know, you know, around the end of the spring or the spring, you know, go to Lebanon and spend a few months, 2-3 months in Lebanon, and, you know, yes, gain 10, 15 pounds
From eating ghammi.
from eating gum,
Yeah.
and
Now,
kibenaye.
yeah, kibbanaye, yeah. Jorge, you must heard this question over and over again. Your favorite Cuban cigar and your favorite New World cigar. Name a favorite, please, that you have in mind.
Robina and Padron.
That's it. Easy. A Robina cigar
Easy.
and a Padron. A 1964 Exclusivo
Easy to
Maduro
guess.
Padron. Yes. And Robina,
It's easy to
Pégase
guess.
Robina.
Very
Yes.
difficult. I don't know.
Yes.
It's very difficult.
Eli,
Hmm?
your turn.
To pair music with your cigar, is there a preferred music for different cigars?
No.
No.
Definitely no. There is music with a cigar, definitely yes. But I don't pair music with cigars.
Okay. Fair enough.
There are many things that I cannot do without a cigar. I cannot watch a soccer game without a cigar. I cannot watch Formula One without a cigar. I cannot work in my computer in my home without a cigar.
Single malt?
A single malt. Single malt usually when I have that is in the afternoon. After lunch, if I'm home and I'm doing some work in the computer, then I sit down and have a single malt with my cigar. But I usually have one. My dose is not at the most two, but no more than that. I don't enjoy more than having two glasses of single malt. That's it. So I cannot sit down and listen to music and read a book without having a cigar. The only thing I cannot do is practice violin, playing a cigar, playing the violin, smoking a cigar. But believe me, if I could do it, I will do it. But you know, it will go in the way of my power. That's it. Complicated.
Okay. When you look back at your life experience, your passions, your devotions, would you encourage your son to follow your footsteps? I mean, becoming a violinist and to smoke a cigar, both?
Well, I don't have sons. I have 3 girls.
I'm sorry. Your daughter.
I have 3 daughters. The oldest one, her name is Amine. The second one is Samira. And the third one is Salma. They don't smoke, of course. They don't want even cigarettes. 2 of them are married. And my 2 sons-in-law, they both smoke cigars with me. Yeah.
Okay.
I cannot smoke with my daughters, but I can smoke with my sons-in-law. I tried to encourage my oldest daughter to play the violin. She did start it. She left it. Then she played the flute for a while. Then, you know, she wanted to go back to the violin when she was around 18 years old. And I told him, no way. And say, forget it. You are too old. You're never going to be a really good violinist. And you are my daughter. If you're going to play the violin, you have to play it better than me. And if you're going to start at 18, you're not going to be able to do it. So do something else that you can do really, really well. So
you can be good at.
Exactly. So she started painting. And she's a very good painter. She's a very good artist. She got a degree in art and plastic arts. My second daughter is a chef. She specializes in pastry and bakery. And she works actually with a Lebanese descendant. His name is Antonio Bashour. He is one of the top 10 pastry chefs in the world.
Wow.
And she's been working with him for the past 6 years. She came as an apprentice, as an intern, and now she's the corporative chef for Bashour. She's been featured in magazines. She has won awards. I'm very proud of her. She's very talented. Actually, she came today to have lunch with us with her husband. And she's doing a really good career in pastry. And the third one, the little one, Salma, who is the one who is the closest to me in personality. You know, if she could smoke a cigar, she will smoke a cigar, believe me. You know? Yeah. She loves cars. She's the one who is closer to me all the time. And she's studying international relations. So she's in Ecuador right now. She's coming to Miami on the 14th to continue her education at Florida International University. She will finish her degree in international relations, and then she's continued to a master's degree. So,
Nice.
so I didn't have boys. You know, God did not give me boys, but she gave me 3 beautiful girls. Thank God they're beautiful. You know, thank God they're beautiful. The 3 of them are really beautiful girls, and I have two good sons-in-law that share my passion for cigars.
Are they Lebanese, your brothers-in-law? Your son?
No. The first one, with the oldest one, his husband, his last name is Toledo. They are Spanish family. He's from Ecuador. And Samira's husband, when I heard his name, I jumped. I thought he was Lebanese. His name is Eli. But it's not. But it's not Lebanese. His father was Cuban American. His last name is Montoto, also a Spanish last name. But he has, as an Spanish, they both have, Mediterranean look. They both were beard and dark hair. They're good-looking boys. They are not Lebanese, but they're good-looking boys, and they're good boys. Of course, I wanted them to marry a Lebanese. No one did. Not at least not the 2 oldest one. Let's see. We still have one younger, which is 22, but still single. We'll see.
There are a few questions. I move to questions from friends and members of Los Osos. One of them is from Mr. Jorge Saade.
Yeah.
You were born Ecuadorian. What it took you long years? Why to visit Lebanon?
That's a good question. In 1975, my family was planning to go back to Lebanon.
For good.
I was 11 years old. My father sold everything he had in Ecuador. My grandfather sold everything they had in Ecuador. And we were ready to embark to go back to Lebanon. And the war started.
Exactly.
We were ready. We were ready. My father had a farm. He had some land. He had a plantation. He had his business. My grandfather owned a building, properties. They sold everything. Everything.
Wow.
we sold the house where we were living, and when we were going to travel, the war started. So
Wow.
they decided to rent a house, small house. We rented a house.
Wait.
We moved there. Everything was in storage, and we were waiting. We said, "Oh no, the war is gonna end soon. It's gonna end soon. It's gonna finish soon." 1 year passed. Nothing happened. My parents decided we need to start again, start the business again, and start doing things again in Ecuador. So we didn't move to Lebanon, and one thing got to the other. My grandmother got sick; she died. Then my grandfather, that put a lot of stress in my mom, and we didn't travel at all. Actually, the first time I left Ecuador to come to the United States, I was around 20 years old.
Wow.
It was in 1983 and 84. Yes, the first time I went to Venezuela before for some festivals when I was younger, but the first time I traveled to the United States, I was around 20 years old. So Lebanon was not in the plans. Then my parents visited Lebanon, but I couldn't go because somebody had to stay in Ecuador and take care of the business, the family business. So I stayed in Ecuador while my father, my mom, my sister, my brother, they all went to Lebanon. So I had to go to Lebanon by myself when I was 32 years old.
Which was late. That's why you were late. I have
That
more questions from members and friends. Please, Qasim. The following three
Yeah.
questions.
May you please name a memory you had in Lebanon that left a mark on you?
This is by Sharbel Saade again.
This is also by Sharbel.
by Charbel.
Yeah, now you are surrounded by Saade family.
But I met Charbel and Wissam when I went the first time to Lebanon. They were little kids, and
Wissam is still little kid. Anyway.
Yeah. I always say that that if I had had a son, he would probably have looked like Wissam, because he looks a lot like me.
you, by the way.
Yes, he looks a lot like me, and I mean, the first impression in Lebanon is more emotional. It's when I got to Sheptin, the first time I went there, I wanted to visit my grandmother's grave, because I never met her. I met my grandfather, Jorge Saade, but I met him when I was very little. Last time I saw him, I was probably around 4 or 5 years old, and I remember just the day he was leaving to take the plane to go back to Lebanon. But my grandmother Amina, I never met her. That's why I put my oldest daughter has her name, because I never met her. So the first thing I did when I arrived in Lebanon, and the first thing I did when I arrived to Sheptin, I told my cousin Zuzo, I say, Zuzo, I want to visit my grandmother's grave. And they say, here in Lebanon, nobody goes to the cemetery.
It's rare.
It's rare, I say, why? And they say, I want to visit her grave. So we went to the cemetery to visit my grandmother's grave, my grandfather's grave, my aunts, my uncles, because I never met them, And I also went to visit my uncle Jorge Saade, my father's cousin. His mausoleum there in town. So that was very emotional. It was very, in a way, very sad that I never had the chance to meet them in person. And then, the only way I could go closer to them is visiting their graves. But
sad, yeah.
Yes.
Now a
sad.
question from Wissam. Also, as curious, Wissam, to ask you: do you smoke in your red Ferrari?
Yes, but I take the top off and I don't turn on the air condition, because I don't want the smoke to get into the filter and get the car smelling like cigar.
Yeah, it's
I do smoke sometimes. Not only in the Ferrari and in other cars, but when I do it, which is not very common, I open the windows. I don't turn on the AC, and I smoke. But I try not to do it. People get very picky with the cars. They say they don't want to buy a car when the car smells like cigarettes or cigar. And you don't want to damage the price of a Ferrari because you smoke inside the
Yeah.
car. Yeah.
Yeah. His second question, by the way, is do you smoke in your vintage bands? It's 600
In
bands.
my
You
vintage.
smoke in your vintage bands, Mercedes bands.
Oh yes, I have I got
Is it 600?
no, I have a 220S from 1961. It's a very rare car because it came with automatic transmission, power steering. That's a 4-door. I don't smoke in that one, but I just got like a year ago a 230 from 1973 that it was converted to a convertible by Bear in Germany. It's a very rare car. I didn't thought that there was one in Ecuador because only 100 of those cars were converted to convertible by Bear in Germany. And I found it there, and the guy thought that the car was cut and made convertible in Ecuador. And when I bought it, thinking that, but when I got the car and I started cleaning it, I found the Bear plate with the number.
Wow.
And I went to internet, and then I found out that it's a very rare car. It's very valuable. And of course, when I'm with the top off, yes, I wear my hat, my boina, my cigar. I'm driving my classical Mercedes. I love it.
I have one last question, Jorge. Jorge, I'm sorry.
Yes.
If you were, this is the last question. We don't want to tire you more. Having the opportunity to smoke one cigar with one of the following great people, whom would you choose? Winston Churchill, Simon Bolivar, Zino Davidoff, Che Guevara, Don Jose Padron.
Well, I smoke with Don Jose Padron, so that's he's out of the list.
You can scratch it from the list. Yeah.
You can scratch it for the list because I had the chance to meet Don Jose Padron many years ago. He had the distribution. They have the distribution center here in Miami, and he was a friend of my father, and he told me, go, if you want to meet him, go and visit him in my name. So I went, asked for him, and he came out. He was in those electronic wheelchairs, electric wheelchairs. And I met him, and we smoked a cigar. He was a very nice guy. So I went to visit. Every time I came to Miami, I went to visit him and smoke a cigar with him, which is a very interesting guy. But from the other three guys, Sir Winston Churchill, Che Guevara, and Davidoff.
And Simon Bolivar.
And Simon Bolivar. Well, I have mixed feelings about Simon Bolivar. That's a different story, Simon Bolivar, I know, is a hero for everybody, and he was the liberator. But we have a different story from my hometown, my city, Guayaquil. So, but that's for a whole different story,
Yes.
Actually, I would have loved to smoke a cigar with Che Guevara. Not because I share his political vision.
No political. Yes.
No, I don't share the political vision of Che Guevara. And actually, I would have loved to meet Fidel Castro. I tried to meet him many times when I went to Cuba. He was already very old. I don't share their political vision, but you cannot deny that those people were brilliant.
Of course, they were.
You have to. Sometimes I get criticized because of these comments, but you have to separate that. You cannot agree with the vision of a person, but you cannot deny that they are very intelligent. And Fidel Castro was a brilliant guy, brilliant, very smart, and Che Guevara too, probably more intelligent than Castro. Yeah. So I would have loved to smoke a cigar with Che Guevara. Sir Winston Churchill, I have read a lot about him, and I heard he was kind of an asshole.
Yes, yes.
He is. He is.
So probably I will not have enjoyed that conversation with Sir Winston Churchill, you know.
We'll have to close now. I will leave it for you for an ending word. What would you like to tell your audience, us, everybody?
Well, you know, first of all, thank you, both of you, for the invitation. I know that Wissam was the one who arranged this interview. I love those kids like my own. Actually, Wissam, you know, I still have a single daughter, huh?
Ah, yeah, Wissam.
Make your move, Wissam.
Make your move, Wissam. She's still single. You know, she has some boys around her, but you know, I will take care of them. Don't worry about it.
No,
You know, thank you very much for the opportunity to be with you and with all your friends and in Los Osos. I actually was going to ask you something. Why Los Osos Tranquiles?
it's Spanish, but a special Spanish from the area
Catalonia, Catalan. Oh,
which most of the
Catalonia.
who worked for Cigar in Cuba were Catalonian. I don't know what you call them.
yeah, Catalanes.
Catalanist.
Catalan.
Most
Yes,
big families of cigars, they came from this part of
yeah, yeah.
Spain. That's why we chose Tranquiles, not Tranquilos.
Tranquiles, because in Spanish will be Los Osos Tranquilos,
Tranquilos.
which will be
Tranquilos.
in Spanish,
Exactly.
tranquilos. When I say tranquiles, that's why I was going to ask you why tranquiles. There has to be a reason why tranquiles. But
Exactly.
thank you very much. You know, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to reach an audience in Lebanon. You know,
Thank you.
that probably don't know me as much as you know they know me in Ecuador. They have never heard of me, and I'm in the classical music and you know the musicians in Lebanon know me. You know the composers know me there, but not everybody knows who I am or what I have done in my life. And you know, you asked me something before, and if something scares me in life is going through life without leaving a legacy or leaving something, to pass life and to
With no
die
mark.
with no mark. Yeah. And that scared me something always. I think, you know, I need to live a life that leaves a mark and to have my name remembered and a legacy for my daughters and grandchild and grand grandchild. And, you know, one day when, you know, I'm way beyond the 3 feet under, my great grandchild can be in Ecuador and say, oh yes, my great grandfather was a violinist, you know, and he was a well-known Ecuadorian violinist around the world. You know, I wanted to live that for my family, for my kids, because that's why my father worked for, you know. He came to Ecuador with nothing, to build a family, to build a name, and to live his legacy. And we are his legacy, and we have to continue that. And that always scared me, you know, to go through life without leaving
More.
a legacy.
Not anymore. You will continue and you will shine more.
You already did your legacy, Jorge.
Qasim,
Don't worry.
I hope so. I hope so.
We
Qasim,
would like to thank you also, Jorge, for this live session opportunity to know you better. We heard a lot about you from Wissam and Charbel, but now we had the chance to meet you in person, at least, or virtually in person. We wish more to meet you in person in Lebanon and to smoke cigar together and to listen to your wonderful music. And we hope this will be soon.
I hope so too. I hope so. I'm trying to arrange a trip to Lebanon, even if it's not for a concert, to visit Lebanon next year, hopefully with my wife again.
we will be
You're
waiting.
most welcome.
We will
Thank
be,
you.
and we really, truly, sincerely, passionately thank you for this wonderful, lovely interview. I loved everything that you are. I love everything you said, Jorge. You're a true Lebanese inside out. And as Qasim said, we are looking forward, counting the days to welcome you in Lebanon. Have a عرق كبة نية تبولة حمص متبع and listen live to your music, unpaid, hopefully.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. And you know you have a home in Ecuador. Anytime you want to come, my home is your home.
Thank you.
You
Thank
will.
you very much.
I'm sure you will enjoy it. You will enjoy it. Ecuador is a beautiful country, and thank you very much for your words. I mean, it means a lot to me to hear that you consider me a true Lebanese. You know, because in Ecuador, we're called Turkish. You know that. You know that story. You know,
Yes.
For Ecuadorians, I'm still Turco. Even though they came over 100 years ago with Turkish passport, they still call us Turcos. And if I go to Lebanon, I'm an American. So but when I'm in Lebanon, I feel 100% Lebanese.
We'll tell you all the bad words when you are here.
Okay, definitely.
Thank you,
Thank you
Jorge,
very
and
much.
good night.
Thank you.
Good night, guys,
Good night.
everybody.
Thank you. Take care, and thank you for the interview. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.